Welcome to Jikook Are Dating. Hope you're all doing well, Jikook fans. Today, I'm bringing you a video filled with joy, tenderness, and surprises because yes, our beloved Jikooks are back. And when I say back, I don't mean they're making drama. They're back to share the Jikook interactions we've all been missing. Do you remember those places that to others are just cities on a map? But to two people, they hold memories, feelings, and meanings that are never truly expressed. Sapporo is one of them. And when Jungkook finally revealed the meaning of Sapporo, all ARMY's eyes immediately fell on one name, Jimin. It wasn't because of a big confession. It wasn't because of a dramatic statement. It was because of his calm, honest, and sincere way of speaking. Sapporo wasn't just a travel destination. It wasn't just the snow, the cold air, or the city lights at night. For Jungkook, Sapporo was a moment to take a break from the world, and what made it different was one thing. Jimin was there. When Jungkook talked about Sapporo, his voice changed. It wasn't exaggerated, it wasn't fake. But there was a slight pause, as if he were choosing his words carefully. He mentioned how the atmosphere there felt calm and warm, two words that sound simple, but carry a deep meaning when spoken by someone who rarely expresses their feelings directly. And that's where ARMYs began to realize what made Sapporo meaningful wasn't the city, but who was accompanying him. Jimin, on the other hand, never elaborated. As usual, he chose a more subtle approach. At one point, Jimin simply said that the trip made him feel safe and comfortable, and that there were moments where he could be himself without having to think too much. Those words might sound trivial, but to those who know Jimin, the word safe isn't a casual term. Jimin is a highly sensitive person, deeply concerned with others, and often puts their feelings before his own. When he says he feels safe, it means there's someone by his side who makes him feel safe. And that person is Jungkook. Jungkook and Jimin's relationship has always been like that. No announcements needed. No explanations needed. They communicate through small gestures, fleeting glances, and the silences that are the loudest. In Sapporo, that silence became even more palpable. There was no stage, no cheers, just two people walking side by side, sharing a time that had nothing to prove to anyone. Jungkook admitted that the trip made him think about a lot of things. About time, about togetherness, about how precious moments are when you don't have to be anything but yourself. And without naming names directly, everyone knew who he was referring to. Jimin, in his own way, reinforced that meaning. He said that there are certain people who make a place feel like home, even when you're far from home. And when he smiled slightly after saying that, ARMY knew those words aren't for everyone. Sapporo became a symbol of togetherness that isn't forced, of love that doesn't need to be announced, of a relationship that grows not from the spotlight, but from time spent together. For Jungkook, Sapporo is a place where he feels enough. For Jimin, Sapporo is a place where he feels safe. And when those two feelings meet, a meaning is born that can't be explained in a single sentence. Perhaps that's why Jungkook finally lifted the curtain on Sapporo. Not to create rumors, not to stir up speculation, but because there are memories too precious to keep to himself. And perhaps that's also why Jimin doesn't say much. Because some feelings are strongest when left unspoken. Sapporo isn't a story about snow. Sapporo is a story about Jungkook and Jimin, about two hearts finding peace in the same place, together. The reason why the Sapporo story keeps coming back to the forefront, despite never being officially announced as a big moment, is precisely because it lacked any labels. It felt genuine. Jungkook and Jimin weren't creating memories for the cameras. They were living them. Many ARMYs noticed something interesting. Whenever Jungkook recalled Sapporo, his expression always softened. The small smile that appeared wasn't a stage smile, but a reflexive smile. The smile of someone remembering something deeply personal. He didn't elaborate, didn't mention the chronology, but his feelings were clear. It was as if Sapporo was a chapter he wanted to protect, not flaunt. And Jimin? Jimin has always been like that. He rarely expressed his meaning directly, but his emotions leaked through simple words. When he said there were moments when he felt not alone, those words resonated louder than any confession. Because Jimin knows what it's like to be in a crowd and feel empty. So when he said he wasn't alone, it meant there was someone truly present, not just physically, but emotionally. Sapporo became a place where their rhythms aligned. No one moves faster. No one is left behind. They stand side by side, not chasing each other. And that kind of relationship is rare in a world that's always rushing. ARMY also notices the small details, the way Jungkook listens to Jimin, the way Jimin speaks in a softer tone when mentioning the trip. There's no drama. There's no attempt to make it sound special. Yet that's precisely where the specialness lies. Sometimes love, or whatever the proper name for that feeling, doesn't come in the form of an emotional outburst. It comes in comfortable silence, in the habit of sharing space without having to speak, in a sense of security that makes you not have to explain yourself. And Sapporo is that space. Jungkook was once known as someone who expressed his feelings through actions, not words. So when he chose to share the meaning of Sapporo, no matter how small, it meant a lot. It was his way of saying, this moment is important to me. And when all the traces lead to Jimin, the public doesn't need to be forced to understand. They feel it. Jimin himself seems to understand it. He doesn't add to it, doesn't deny it, doesn't correct it. He simply lets the story be, flowing as it is. Like their feelings, they weren't hidden, but they weren't announced either. Perhaps that was the strength of their relationship. They didn't live to explain themselves to the world. They simply understood each other. Sapporo will always be a Japanese city to many. But for Jungkook and Jimin, it was a pause. A place where time slowed, the sounds of the world faded, and all that remained were two people who chose to walk together, even if only for a little while. And for ARMY, this story isn't about assumptions or speculation. It's about reading raw emotions. It's about seeing how two people can share space so naturally that each other's presence feels like a necessity, not an obligation. Maybe one day, they'll share it more clearly. Or maybe never. But one thing's for sure. The meaning of Sapporo already lives on in the hearts of many because it was built on a quiet honesty. Ultimately, Sapporo isn't about the journey, the date, or the rumors. It's about the feeling of choosing to stay, even as the world moves on. Jungkook never explicitly stated what Jimin meant to him there. Jimin never mentioned a name when he spoke about that sense of security. But that's precisely where the truth feels strongest. Because there are things too sincere to be mere statements. Amidst the cold snow and the silent night, the two found something fame couldn't buy, the serenity of being together. There was no need to explain who was more important. No need to confirm what their relationship meant to the world. They simply existed, and that was enough.